What does it mean to be the salt of the earth? This question, a metaphor from a verse in the Bible, has puzzled many. Today, we dive into the heart of this phrase, found in Matthew 5:13, and explore its profound teachings on influence. In the 5th chapter of Matthew, verse 13, Jesus addresses his followers with these words: "You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything, except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot." At first glance, this verse might seem a bit cryptic, but let's break it down. In Jesus' time, salt was a highly valued commodity. It served many purposes, preserving food, adding flavor, and even being used in religious rituals. When Jesus describes his followers as the salt of the earth, he is essentially saying they are valuable and necessary. But there's more to it than just being valuable. Salt, in its essence, changes things. It prevents decay in food, and it enhances flavor. In the same way, followers of Christ are called to be agents of change in the world, to prevent moral decay and to enhance the goodness in life. They are to influence the world positively, just as salt influences the food it seasons. Then comes the warning. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything, except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. In other words, if those who are meant to be salt lose their distinctive, positive influence on the world, they lose their value. They become like salt that has lost its flavor, useless. So, what does Matthew 5:13 teach us about influence? Firstly, it teaches that every follower of Christ has inherent value and a purpose. Just as salt has many uses, so do we. We are all called to make a difference in the world, to enhance and preserve goodness. Secondly, it reminds us that we must maintain our saltiness, our distinctiveness. If we lose our influence, our ability to bring positive change, we become ineffective. Lastly, this verse warns of the consequences of losing our saltiness. If we fail to live up to our calling as the salt of the earth, we risk becoming spiritually useless, like flavorless salt. In conclusion, Matthew 5:13 is a powerful metaphor that teaches us about the importance of influence in our lives. It calls us to be valuable, to be change makers, to maintain our distinctiveness, and to be aware of the consequences of losing our influence. So, be the salt of the earth, influence the world positively, enhance the goodness around you, and preserve moral values. Remember, you are valuable, and your influence matters.